Welcome everybody, my name is Pip. I would consider myself a baby army. In today's video I'm going to be reacting to a video that is a guide to BTS in brackets for haters, skeptics and non-pop fans, which is not me but was me. I remember years and years and years ago turning my nose up at BTS, turning my nose up at K-pop. I feel stupid for thinking that now, I really do. I'm a different person now. It was a stage in my life where to me it was cringe to like things like that, and now I'm just give me more, give me all of it. I want all of it. I have grown old enough that I'm quite happy being cringe. I still struggle with people seeing me being cringe, which is going to be a struggle with these videos, I imagine, but I care less about whether people think I'm cringe for liking the things I like. So yeah, the funny thing is I probably never would have watched this video when I actually felt like that, but I'm interested to watch it now. I feel like it's also important to mention that I'm a baby army, but I'm also extremely new to K-pop in general, and I will explain how I got into K-pop, but please do not judge me for it. I got into K-pop because I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'm not ashamed of that, but I know that some people might I don't know, is that a bad thing? I don't know. Does it matter how I got into it, or can we just be happy that I'm into it? So yeah, I was aware of K-pop. I had probably listened to Dynamite and things I probably only listened to Dynamite by BTS, I think, and had been that's a bit too poppy for me. It's not too poppy for me now. Perfect amount of pop. This video is by, correct me, please do correct me on the pronunciation. I just failed to pronounce the word pronunciation. Please correct me on the pronunciation of this channel name. I like to be corrected. I like to know how to say things properly. So I would say Boracity magazine. I have turned on
When
CC.
you see a group of cute boys who dance, who wear matching outfits, and whose most popular songs are pop, it's logical to instantly categorize them as a boy band for young girls.
Are there any BTS fans here?
You've seen many of those and you know how it goes. So it's easy to assume that yet another boy band is just not for you, especially a K-pop boy band. Just look at their most popular music videos. They look colorful, nonsensical, and just not your style. But
So I would agree with this. I would agree that that is where I was coming from. So the other bands sort of mentioned or shown there was One Direction. I was never into One Direction. So when One Direction were out, I think that was my phase of okay, I don't like pop now. I am a... I don't know what I thought I was. I am a serious person and that doesn't like pop music. I was lying to myself. I was lying to myself. So I was never really into them, but when I was younger, I was into Backstreet Boys a lot. I missed the boat on Take That. If you're also from the UK, I don't know if Take That, did they ever make it to America really? But I never really got on the Take That bandwagon, and I think I'm slightly too young for it, potentially. I don't know. What other bands? I liked many boy bands I now can't think of. I used to like A1, if anybody remembers A1. So I liked NSYNC. I don't think I liked NSYNC quite as much as Backstreet Boys, but I did like both of them. Five, my god, Five. I loved Five. Oh, I loved Five so much. I was never that much into Boyzone or Westlife. I think because they had a lot of ballads and I wasn't really into ballads when I was younger. But anyway, I digress. BTS, yes. Back to BTS. But yes, when I was younger, I was a fan of boy bands, definitely. And I wonder if that's why later in life I was kind of not for me, because it was I felt like it was too young for me or something. I don't know.
maybe you are curious and you just want to know what's the deal with them. Maybe you don't have the time or the real interest to watch those long introduction videos. So in the hopes that you do go watch all of that helpful content and give them a real chance, here's a very short introduction video to BTS and their 7 members. This is how I explain BTS to my friends who are not interested in them at all. So this video is made specifically for these type of audiences. But first, here's the one and only rule. You can question, but don't assume. To understand BTS, you need to unlearn a lot of rules from the Western music industry and preconceived notions you have about K-pop, because you'll see.
I think that's a good point to make as well, is that I used to have preconceptions about K-pop that I don't mind admitting now, because I don't believe that anymore. But I used to think it was kind of like this manufacturing business of bands that they were just sort of like churned out and all the music was the same. and then it did like it, and that the music didn't mean anything. Maybe they were kind of like the sort of preconceptions that I had, and I think why I felt like it wasn't for me. And I think after getting into BTS and here and there other groups, but not as much as BTS, after like sort of looking into it more, I can see that at least BTS are not like that. Absolutely not like that.
The answer to most of your assumptions about BTS is going to be no, you are completely wrong. So let's start now. BTS is a South Korean male group formed since 2010, officially debuting in 2013.
See, I knew they debuted in 2013, but I didn't know that they formed like since 2010. So I know that they joined the group at different times, but I didn't know that process, I assume, took 3 years. It's insane.
BTS stands for Bangtan Sonyeondan, which can be translated to Bulletproof Boy Scouts in English. Why is the abbreviation for Bulletproof Boy Scouts so weird? Because BTS does not stand for the translation in English, so stop looking for the B, T, and S in this name. To avoid this confusion, BTS started using Beyond the Scene as an alternative name in English. But
I didn't know that. I thought that they'd taken, I suppose they have as well. I thought the B, the T, and the S was from the Korean. But I wonder if they've come up with this English version just for like Western audiences potentially. Interesting.
BTS really has always stood for Bangtan Sonyeondan. BTS is composed of 7 members, 3 rappers, 4 singers. Why are there so many members? The K-pop industry is inspired by the J-pop industry, in which music labels prepare hundreds of trainees to debut in a group. In these industries, 6, 7, 8, 9 or more members are not uncommon.
I have noticed that a lot of the groups have like loads of members. So like BTS is 7. I know Stray Kids have got more than that. I'm not so sure on some of the girl groups because obviously Blackpink is 4. Yeah, 4. But yeah, there seems to be a theme of like quite big groups.
Just try reducing a lineup of hundreds of trainees with a lot of potential into a small number. 7 especially, I would say, is the best number of members a group like BTS can have. Because for choreographies, odd numbers look better than even numbers.
That's a good point. I've never thought about that. It creates like a nice shape, and it gives you, even if it changes, it gives you like a central focal point of a person if you've got an odd number, doesn't it?
3 and 5 members, stability and dance figures are harder, and 9 or more members can look too crowded. 7 is perfect. So if BTS were created in the K-pop industry, they are K-pop, right? It's complicated. K-pop is not a music genre, so it's not just pop in Korean. K-pop is a music industry that produces integrated content.
Okay, I don't mind admitting that. I've learned something there. I've always wondered, is K-pop the genre of music? But then if you look further into that, then how do you describe that genre of music? And you can't really, can you? Because it's all sorts of different things. So I've always wondered about that. So I'm glad I've learned that.
BTS were discovered, went through auditions, and were trained for months or years under a K-pop label. But their unique circumstances allow them, inspire them, or force them to grow beyond this industry very quickly. Like the Western music industry, the K-pop industry has been ruled by 3 labels. Below them, there's medium labels. And below them, there's the labels that do not have the resources to properly debut or promote their groups. BTS's label was close to bankruptcy when they started training them. And once they debuted, they didn't have the
Yeah, honestly, I've seen this image in the like the guide video that I've already seen that's often recommended. But the fact that there was literally, like, you could see another bunk bed on the right there, 3 bunk beds and then a single bed in that tiny room. See, that's not what I imagined the K-pop industry being like. But I suspect that these circumstances were due to the fact that we were the company that wasn't one of the big companies, I suppose. I'm guessing.
Resources or connections for promotion opportunities. So BTS had to perform when other groups cancelled. BTS had to accept being...
Seriously? So they just had to like they just had to be like ready. They just had to step up when somebody cancelled and just jump in. It's insane.
Mocked by bigger groups because that was the way it was. While other groups work with famous songwriters and producers, BTS's label had to find strong singer-songwriters from the very beginning. And that's why signing rappers who write their raps and who were already in the underground hip-hop scene was this K-pop label's unusual first great decision.
I didn't know that. I understand the concept of like bands and artists working with songwriters other than themselves and that being like a common thing. But I don't think I ever quite pieced together that their company wasn't that big, didn't have that much money. I'd never gone through the thing of thinking, so then how did they produce songs? And I feel like at least the songwriting confirmed now, but I wonder if the rest of it, they literally just did it all themselves. That's like the amount of time, effort and dedication that must take when there's no money behind you. There's no money behind you at all to just do.
So yes, BTS were born in the K-pop industry, but they had to find many non-K-pop alternatives because they were simply not welcomed, not by the industry, neither by other K-pop groups. These unconventional choices in K-pop, like the use of social media, SoundCloud, and presenting as more relatable, eventually made them very popular internationally with non-K-pop audiences.
I have noticed that, and this might just be because I've not really like dived into the other groups as much, but they seem to be constantly where they can communicating with the fans, with ARMY in a way that I don't see other groups doing to the same level. They might, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it seems to be unique to them. Or at least maybe at the beginning it was unique to them, and then now other groups do that as well. But that was something that I noticed. BTS are the first and only non-Western artist to win Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards. Is that? So this video came out, and this is last year then. I've not quite caught up to the factor in 2026. This video came out in 2024. I assume that's still true? I'm sorry I keep pausing, but I'm learning so many things. So they're the only Korean artist with Grammy nominations, and I assume that means 5 Grammy. I assume that means 5 Grammy nominations at that. Man.
Forcing the K-pop industry to really notice BTS and celebrate them as theirs after BTS already went beyond their niche world.
The first and the biggest of the superstars in K-pop to come out of Seoul and reach the world are BTS.
That's why BTS being K-pop or not is still a debate. Okay, but BTS are still a boy band. Sure, you wouldn't be wrong by calling them a boy band, but again, don't assume they work like every other popular boy band you've seen. No, you shouldn't recognize them by their hairstyles because they change their looks a lot. No, their songs are not all bright.
I need to go back to that.
Recognize them by their hairstyles because they change.
So is this like, oh my god, is this every hairstyle that each of them have ever had? And is this where they started? Because that's definitely RM's first like hairstyle that I like, earliest one that I recognise. I do remember when I first started watching like the music videos and things like that. It took me a while to remember who everybody was, because I was watching like music videos from across like the years that they've been making music videos, and I was just like, okay, not that there's always somebody with pink hair, but there was a theme of like somebody would have pink hair, and I'm like, but it's not the same person. And it's like I struggle with faces generally, like sometimes I can't recognize people if I see them in a different environment than what I'm used to seeing them in. So like I like to use like visual cues to be like, okay, that's them. Like I once didn't recognize somebody that I'd worked with in a different job. They then joined the organization where I then worked, and I just didn't recognize them. I was kind of like, I know you, but I don't know who you are. So I need visual cues, okay? And it's difficult. It was difficult with BTS because, you know.
Their looks a lot. No, their songs are not all bright pop songs about love. Those are just the ones mainstream radio shows and audiences are willing to play and accept. And they are very cool as well. But I'm serious, that is a very small minority of their discography. That is why no, people who actually listen to BTS are not teenagers. They are around BTS's age, most in their 20s and 30s.
Let's go back to that. So yeah, first of all, it took me a long while to be kind of okay with being a BTS fan because I am older. I'll leave you to guess. I just passed an age milestone that I am not happy with. Let's just put it that way. So I'll leave it to you. But I am an older BTS fan, I would say. And it was like, it almost like didn't feel right to be a fan of them because I'm like, they're younger than me, so they're all younger than me, to give you a clue. But like, I like the music and I relate to a lot of the messages that they're putting out there with their music, and maybe not those like really big, I would say, Western hits like Dynamite and Butter and, you know, songs like that are more accessible to a Western world, I would say. So it took me a long time to be like, it's okay that I'm a fan of BTS. I'm not too old. There are far more fans of BTS that are way older than me. And I'm fine with that. So why am I not okay with me being a fan? So yeah, it's been a journey.
Not teenagers. They are around BTS's age, most in their 20s and 30s. And no, BTS are not teenagers. Okay, but in the end, every star part of any group wants to go solo. BTS has never seen it like that.
근데 1순위가 당연히 우리 멤버들도 다 그렇게 생각할 거야. 1순위는 무조건 일단 단체.
저한테 최우선 팀이고.
The BTS members started releasing solo music 2 years after their debut, and they have maintained a group career for over a decade.
I didn't realise some of them had released solo stuff that early, like 2 years after debut. Was it RM that was the first person? So like, when I first got into BTS, the solo stuff that I saw was Jungkook's solo stuff, I think was potentially the most recent. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't quite know how that happened on YouTube. I don't know what I went from to get to that solo stuff. So I just assumed that they'd all done solo stuff in like the period of time when they were going into the military. Because I think Jungkook's stuff was just before he went into the military, wasn't it? Around that kind of like 2022, 2023? Again, I'm going to say this a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong, and please do. I'm not offended by having things corrected when I'm wrong. See, I didn't realize that they'd done solo stuff way before that. I thought they like waited for a break and did it then. So that's interesting.
Some of their solo songs are under the name BTS, others are under their own name, and others are under both. Even as solo artists, they still introduce themselves as a member of BTS.
I'm a BTS. J-Hope of BTS.
I'm Jimin of BTS.
And on their BTS tours, they also perform their solo songs. Okay, but how musically diverse can a mainstream, mass appeal, family-friendly group like this really be? To answer this, I'm going to talk about archetypes. When first getting to know BTS, many try to recognize them with boy band tropes. Who is the bad boy, the cute one, the funny one, or the breakout solo star?
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. That's funny because that is a thing that you can see in these boy bands mentioned here. They had like their archetypes, like they're describing. And I don't know if I ever tried to do that with BTS. I don't think I did, but now I'm looking at it, I think, yeah, you can't do that. It just doesn't work like that.
Although I don't like these labels, I understand that people who don't know them need something to associate them with. So here's one label for each of them. The rappers are J-Hope, RM, and Suga. RM used to stand for Rap Monster, but now it stands for Real Me, so just use RM. In Korea, last names go first. So RM is the stage name of Namjoon.
My name is Namjoon.
RM is the poet, because he is good with words. RM is the official leader.
Who is BTS leader?
Namjoon Kim.
Which does not mean he is the main guy. It means he is the spokesperson in the group.
Yes, I did know that, and I think I discovered that from the other guide video, in that he's not I saw it as kind of like how I understood it and what makes sense to me. I'll put it in that way, is that he's not the leader, as in he's not the lead singer, he's not the lead anything potentially, maybe the lead rap artist potentially, I don't know, but he's more, I see it, or it helps my brain understand it in that he's the leader in like a business way, so he's like the contact between the group and the company and things like that, and you see him leading a lot in interviews as he's kind of the spokesperson in a way, but always does a really good job of including everybody, I think, which is a really good skill to have. I wish I had. I was going to say you see him leading a lot in Western interviews, but I think the main reason for that is that he's the most fluent in English, probably.
I'm the spokesperson. I'm going to speak a lot. I'm sorry.
RM
Why is he saying sorry? Oh.
is very smart. He's multilingual
Yeah. I like the camera.
and the only
Is that 3 languages in the same sentence? That's insane to me. I really struggle to learn languages. I've never been able to do it very well. So to see somebody speak 3 languages in one sentence, that's mad.
BTS member who can speak fluent English.
Making some music together with her?
리조랑 얘기했어요. 뭐 작업 같이 할 생각 있는지.
너무 정신없어서
Oh, so
반가워만 하고 헤어졌어.
it was so loud and crazy and hectic there.
And RM is known for his wordplay and lyricism. Think of him as a rapper
I'm not down, motherfucker, with the bullshit. Get it from there. 그냥 쳐들어가 bullshit.
in alternative hip-hop, indie pop,
Wow.
and R&B,
Fuck the trendsetter, I'm gonna turn back the time.
in which his introspective words can properly shine. Next is Suga. Suga stands for shooting guard, one of the 5 positions in basketball.
So yeah, this is making me realize I want to get into more of like the solo stuff, and like, and not to move away from looking at BTS stuff, but just because I feel like you must learn more about them as members of BTS by looking at the solo stuff, because it's like, it's what they specialize in, it's the things that they're good at, I suppose. And I've not looked into much of RM stuff, mostly because there's just so much that I've just not got there yet. The thing I get like a little bit confused about and always worry that I'm getting wrong is that I think that if you like all of them, you would say that you're OT7. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I would say that I am OT7. I really like all of them. Like, I used to remember like there would be certain groups, like we're talking back in the 90s, 2000s, where I'd be like, I'm not that keen on that member. It would never be like I hate them. I'm just like, I take or leave them. But with BTS, I love all of them for different reasons and for the different things that they bring to the dynamic. So like I would say I'm OT7, but I started with my bias being Jungkook because it's hard to describe because I won't display it here. But like he does a lot of things that I do in conversations. Like I could probably get into this a bit more into like other things in another video. So yeah, I gravitated towards Jungkook at first, but then more recently have kind of added Suga into that, and I'm like, am I allowed to have 2 biases? Could somebody tell me whether I'm allowed? Am I allowed to have 2 biases? Because I also relate to Suga a lot again, I could probably go into this in more detail some of his more reserved side, and I've seen other members say that he finds it difficult to express his feelings. I'm like that as well. And I'm just like, am I allowed to have 2 biases? Can somebody let me know? I hope so. I love them all.
And guards, so Suga.
And yes, it's because he is a basketball fan. As a solo artist, Suga also goes by Augustine. which is DT Suga backwards.
DT Suga.
DT stands for his hometown, Daegutan.
That's your hometown, DT?
Yeah, DT.
Suga and August D are the stage names of Yoongi.
You can call me
Yoongi.
August D or Suga or Yoongi.
Yeah.
Suga's keyword is underground rapper because that is his background, and he is used to doing everything in his songs. Suga is known as the main producer in BTS.
Who is BTS producer? Suga.
And has received awards producing for others. Suga is not scared of calling others out in his lyrics, and his delivery is
Yeah, the amount of times I've seen like clips of songs where he's calling people out, I'm like, go on, Sugar, go on. You tell him. Which I was surprised to see that. I was surprised to see that he is unapologetic in it as well. Because there's a part of me that's like, is he allowed to say that? Of course he's allowed to say, like, say what he wants.
unapologetic, aggressive, fast, and overall extremely dynamic.
I love this video.
The third rapper is J-Hope. J-Hope's name was inspired by his musical idol, the rapper J. Cole. But J-Hope also has some of his real name. Last name John, first name Hosok. J-Hope is the street dancer because he's always been into street dancing. So his music, rap style, and even personality
Sorry. I love J-Hope. He makes me smile. Like he without fail makes me smile. Honestly, he's just don't they refer to him as being like sunshine? Like he's just like sunshine. He is. He cheers me up, and I love his reaction. And he's so expressive. Like a lot of the time if you focus on him in the dancing, he's so expressive.
complement his energetic dance. Think of hip-hop, synth-pop, trap, house.
I love house.
I love house. That reminds me of this, it's one of my favourite interviews ever, where it's like somebody asks them, what food do you like, or what's your favourite food that you can't get in Korea? And Jay was just like, I like hamburger and Sprite. It's one of my favourite clips ever.
And funk.
Oh, I love funk.
J-Hope is most known for his catchy curses. Ad-libs.
You crazy. You know I can take it more.
And flow switches. Next, we have the four singers, Jin, V, Jungkook, and Jimin. Study with Jin. Jin is the stage name or abbreviation of Seokjin, and Jin's keyword.
Okay, so when it's S-E-O-K, I'm getting that you say Seokjin. But I think I was thinking that you had to almost pronounce the E, but maybe you don't.
Is sentimental or emotive. Not emotional, but emotive. Before becoming a singer, he was a theater student during university, and it's his range of emotions why he takes the main acting role.
So you're kissing a statue there. Committing to the bit. Hey, prove.
In several BTS music videos. So some of his musical strengths are his tender, sorrowful, and free-spirited vocals, which show his emotional range. A big inspiration for him is Coldplay, a band he and BTS collaborated with.
There's a lot of rock on this.
저는 이제 밴드분들 중에 콜드플레이 형님들을 되게 좋아하는데.
So think of pop rock, Brit rock, new wave, and ballads.
I really need to look at Jin stuff because there's a lot of those types of music that I'm quite into as well. So I need to do that.
Jin shines as a live band vocalist. Members of the Grammy panel described his vocals as a silver voice, and he's best known for his strong falsetto and high notes.
왜 이렇게 진영이랑 지민이 형이 안 입지? 그 둘이 때문에 곡이 높아지겠다 자꾸.
Wow.
Next
I never would have expected that kind of performance from him. With the band and everything. Wow.
is Jimin. Park Jimin goes by his real name Jimin, and his keyword is ethereal.
It's really nice to meet you. I'm
He is fair. He's a fair. Come on. Look at that man.
Jimin.
Jimin is a contemporary dancer. And his vocals have been described as delicate, sweet, and ethereal. Not only his vocals, but his personality is also sweet and cute.
Cutie,
Machi.
lovely. Cutie and sexy and lovely. Sexy, cutie, lovely.
I'm sweet guy. Cutie, sexy, lovely, sweet
Is that the equivalent of Jin's like worldwide handsome?
guy.
And most importantly, Jimin is unapologetically pop. R&B pop, synth pop, Latin pop,
Like a bit of sin.
and anything that showcases his singing style. And Jimin is known for his hypnotizing performances. On the complete opposite of singing styles is V. V, the stage name of Taeyeon, stands for victory.
Oh, I didn't know. I was going to say something else, but I didn't know it stood for victory. I've just never questioned what it stood for. I was just like, his name's V. Victory. I think, what was I about to say before I learnt that new piece of information? Yeah, that's it. I was going to say V is probably the one that I know the least about. And was kind of like, I think because he's not in the background, but he can be quite quiet in like interviews and things. That I think I just don't feel like I know that much about him at this point. I would like to know more. I'm always interested in like the quiet person at the back because I was always the quiet person at the back. So
Only V. Okay, victory.
And his keyword is soulful. V is a baritone. And he has a very deep, husky, and soulful voice.
excuse me. Wow, baritone indeed.
His songs are R&B, neo-soul, indie pop, and jazz.
I feel like jazz is the type of music that I find really difficult to get into because I'm like a person who likes when there's like a steady rhythm and there's a good pattern, and I find there's some jazz stuff that I like, but I think it's when it has some of those things and I can like get into it. But I do struggle with jazz. I'm happy to be persuaded though.
And V, of course, loves including flutes and saxophones on his songs.
He plays the saxophone, doesn't he?
V is an old soul. He loves photography, old music, and formal clothing. V is known for his warm lyrics, especially during the holiday season.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
The seventh member
I was gonna say, from what I've just learned there, he comes across as more classical's not the word, probably classic. Like I'm thinking of like people who sing swing and stuff. Do I mean swing? Yeah, like vintage. Like he gives off like some of his songs, not all of them. They give off like a vintage jazz swing type vibe. That's what I get from him. And with the baritone voice, I feel like matches quite well with that. Making it sound like I'm an expert in music. I'm not. I learned music when I was very young and then haven't really since then. A lot of the time I'm quite good at recognising types of music, especially when something's got funk in it. I love funk so much. Speaking of funk, some of Jungkook's solo stuff got a lot of funk.
Is Jungkook. Jungkook uses his real name. Last name is John, first name is Jungkook.
Jung and JT on the main now.
I'm Jungkook Jungkook.
Jungkook is the male mainstream pop star the world is looking for but keeps denying for some reason. Jungkook is not just inspired by mainstream pop artists.
If I was a boyfriend, never let you go. We were so beautiful. There's nothing like us. There's nothing like you and me. I'ma leave the door open. I spent 10,000 hours. I do the same thing I told you when I never would.
He is now one of the biggest male soloists in mainstream pop.
I've learned that.
His Western collabs
In the world, know my name on the truth.
So if you're ready, got you skipping work in me. Fuck it, let's sleep in. Yeah.
and songs in
That's the best clip from that music video. Even coming out of the casket singing. That's the perfect clip to put there.
English or pop perfection.
What song is this? I have not heard this song. I need to know what this song is.
And like the biggest pop stars, Jungkook is known for his great stability at singing and dancing at the same time.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If your body gonna lick the sun.
There's the funk.
Once you have associated the BTS members with their keywords, you have to forget everything I've just said, because all the BTS members are experts at breaking out of their label boxes. The poet was also an underground rapper and can be very aggressive in his songs. The underground rapper loves playing the acoustic guitar and the piano and singing introspective, sweet lyrics.
You know what I didn't know? I didn't know that Sugar could sing like that. I didn't know that. I need to investigate that.
The street dancer made an entire album with songs he performed with no choreographies. The sentimental one has a song about his love for fishing, and he is very silly as well.
I have that song on my list of things to react to. Yeah.
Worldwide handsome.
Worldwide handsome.
Worldwide handsome.
Worldwide handsome.
The ethereal one also shines in powerful hip-hop performances. The soulful one can also deliver aggressive and high vocals.
What was that? In a good way. Wow.
The mainstream one loves composing non-mainstream songs. And somehow they work perfectly as a group, performing together all of the styles I've mentioned and more.
I wish I could react to that. I've already seen it though. Not Black Swan though. Excuse me, what was that? What was that rock one? I love this performance.
grand if it isn't been my rhyme. Baby, go into your day, come and show me what you got.
To this day, I have not found a group as dynamic, creative, risk-taking, and surprising as them. If you think they are not for you, you just have to keep looking. You won't regret it.
I was going to say that. I feel like the takeaway from this, and that I think I knew, but didn't know to what extent it went to, was that they have something for everybody. And not in a like, we need to do this kind of song so that we appeal to this group of people, to appeal to more people. It's just, they just seem to explore what they're interested in, and they seem to explore like new things that they want to try, even if it's against what they've done before. So like, a lot of the time I used to be like, why is everybody so obsessed with BTS? Like, how good can they be? But when you think about it, there's something for everybody. If you're just looking at the music, there's something for everybody. But then I think there's a lot of value in exploring them as like people and as a group. And, you know, I was wrong. I know I don't feel that way right now. And it's not like I've had a change of heart throughout the video. But like, when I thought that I wouldn't like BTS, I was wrong. I was very wrong. I'm so glad I watched that. I thought, okay, it's not going to be for me because I already like them. It's not going to be for me. It's not meant for me. And I think it's probably not meant for me, but I still learned things from it. I saw new things that I was like, I want to explore that. I want to look into like all of the solo stuff. I want to look into RM's solo stuff, like all of them. But in particular, I would like to focus on RM stuff, Sugar's stuff, V as well. I want to look into V stuff. And I would like to like jazz. Maybe I've just not listened to the right kind of jazz. Maybe I've not listened to V's jazz. So I'm really glad I watched that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed seeing my reactions to the video and the tons of new information that I got from that. I thought I would learn a few little things, but I didn't think I would learn quite as much as I did. I'll link the video below if you want to go and have a look at it yourself. I would really love it if people could recommend things for me to watch, because there's so much stuff and I don't know what's the core stuff I need to know, if you know what I mean. I've watched a lot of the readily available stuff. I've looked a lot at Jungkook's solo stuff. I've started looking at Sugar's stuff, but there's more to look at with that. So yeah, if you can recommend me some like not mainstream stuff, but like the essentials, if you know what I mean, that I would really appreciate that. If you enjoyed the video, like it if you would like to like it, and subscribe if you want to see more of my reactions, you want to see my journey learning more about BTS and K-pop. And thanks for watching.